All right, if you had parents that didn't play when you were growing up, raise your hand. Drop it in the comments. Let me know because that was the kind of parents I had, especially my mother. My mother did not play. There were six of us, and there was no time for playing. So when she said do something, you did it. When she asked you why you whatever, you gave an answer, and it better have been the truth. And when it was time for you to be punished, you needed to just step up to the plate. This is a time where I did not step up to the plate. This episode is about when I decided to take a turn from punishment by hiding, and it ended well, but it had moments that were very scary. And I just want to let you know that sometimes it's better to just take that responsibility, own up to that accountability, rather than hiding from what you think it's going to be. Sometimes that hiding or lying or running from a punishment that we think is coming and that we're just sure is coming, sometimes hiding from it can be worse than facing it. Let's talk. Thank you for joining me on Colbert Kean Conversations. Today we're going to be talking about hiding to escape punishment. Now, I say that because a lot of times when we think we're going to get in trouble or we think something is not going to go very favorably is not going to go our way for some of the things that we have done or something that we're about to encounter. And that doesn't go right when we are scared of the consequences or scared of a parent. As in my case, I was scared of a parent. I don't know about y'all, but I came up, there were six of us, and I came up with I won't say it was an iron fist ruling, but my mom did not play. And anyone who grew up in the Easttown area, their mom didn't play either. And it was because there were so many of us kids. This was in the era where people had six kids, eight kids, 10 kids, 12 kids. I knew a family that actually had 12 kids that I went to school with, their daughter. But this was the era of we had our own playmates, but you had to make sure that everybody told the line. Our parents had to make sure that everybody told the line because there was no margin for error. There was no time for the extra coddling and that kind of thing that you see a lot of, or that we as later parents are done with our child or do with our grandchildren. It was more of do as I say right now. There's no questions asked. There's no take time to explain. There's no anything like that. And a lot of us are probably still recovering from some of that. Not even recovering, we have found ways to cope. We have figured out the things we needed to do silently. Silently. We weren't, the Gen X crowd wasn't, we're not allowed in your face type of generation because we raised ourselves a lot. There was always a lot of us, well, in my case, and in the neighborhood community case, there was a lot of us. And so we were the don't answer the door. You can go out and play and do all the things because there's enough of y'all, but you know what not to do. You know what not to do. And you knew when it was time for your mom to come home and what chores needed to be done. The house better be clean, things better be in order. And you almost knew it down to a science what time they were coming home, unless you didn't and they surprised you. That's for another podcast. So, what we're discussing today is when the fear of an impending or upcoming punishment, but that fear outweighs the threat of the punishment. Man, I'm telling you, sometimes the thought of running away from that punishment is better than facing that punishment. When in reality, facing that punishment probably would have been better than running away. We had been out playing all day, which is what we did when we were younger. And coming back from a basketball, well, I was watching. My brother, oldest brother, was playing, and my other siblings were watching and playing on the playgrounds. And we were just doing what we do as kids with all the other neighborhood kids. Well, if you grew up in my neighborhood, you knew that at a certain time it was time to come home. Drop it in the comments if you know what that time was, if you grew up like that also. Oh, you know exactly when that street light came on, you better be in your yard. It wasn't time to start moving, it was time to already have been there. So we were playing, and the street light came on while we were playing. And we were still a ways from our house. So we had to, book it. That's what we used to call running. Sprint it, book it to get home in time. Suffice it to say, we didn't make it. By the time we got to the corner that was getting close, that was over by the house, yeah, it was dark. It was already dark, and we already knew what we was about to be in for. We knew. We already knew. And so we needed to devise a plan. Now, this wasn't just an ordinary plan that we just threw together. Now, we took about 5 minutes or so because there was five of us at that time. And yeah, well, and I really didn't count because I was young enough to probably not be able to contribute to that discussion. But man, the anticipation of getting in trouble and hearing them talk was enough for me to know I did not want to be in line for it. I'm telling you, my mom did not play. And I just knew that this was not going to end well. So fast forward a little bit, we're getting to the steps, and they've already got the plan made up. And I wasn't really consulted because I was the youngest, or that I wasn't the youngest, but I was the youngest of us going out and playing at that time. And my mind was like, I'm not really sure what all they're talking about, but I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to get in trouble. How many times have you been a part of a group or something that you were going along with it, but you really had some hesitation because you didn't want to get in trouble? You did not want to face the punishment of whatever it was going to be, whether it was at work or at a group, a party, or whatever it was, but you didn't want to face that punishment. You didn't want to be a part of the outcome that you knew was wrong. And so you decided in your mind to pull away a little bit. You decided to, I think I'm going to do something a little bit different. And that's exactly what I did. As we were going up those steps with fear and intrepidation, I darted under the steps. They didn't even hear me. They didn't see me. They didn't even know I was gone. I was under the house because I did not want to get in trouble. So I went up under the house, and I'm going to tell y'all, it was dark. It was musty. It's under a house. Now, it's not like your foundations you have now where it's just barely this much space. These were older houses, so you had a great deal of space to crawl under, and it was all kind of stuff up under there because you threw stuff under the house as kids. We just did the things. So this space it was dark, it was scary, but did it outweigh my idea of what that punishment may have been? No, it didn't. And so that's where I was, hiding under the house, playing with sticks in the gravel and the dirt, because I didn't want to face punishment. Now we're going to stop and put a pin in that because facing punishment is usually the result of something that we have done that went against some type of rule. Correct? Drop it in the comments if you're agreeing with me so far. Sometimes we feel that a punishment may be a little harsh or unjust, or we feel we may not be deserving of it, but we have to ask ourselves, did we do whatever the action was that's going to result in a punishment? Whatever that punishment may be and whatever that action may be. Whether you're speeding or running a red light, whether you're hanging at a party too late, whatever it may be, do we not feel that it warrants a punishment, some kind of consequence for that action? We have to understand that when we perform certain actions or when we do certain things, there's going to be a consequence for it. Regardless if it's good or bad, there's going to be a consequence for it. So I'm under this house playing and I'm hearing, I don't even know how much time has went by, but I've heard my name been called, I don't even know how many times, a lot of times. And I've seen feet walking by looking for me. I've heard shouts and I've heard, where it got to screaming, but I still didn't come out. I still didn't come out because I was, at that time, I'm vested in my hiding. I am vested in my reasoning for hiding because I didn't want to be punished. I didn't want to get, probably was lined up and we were all going to get a whipping at that time. But, or grounded, I don't know. But I knew it was something I didn't want to encounter. And so everybody, and hours have gone by. I'm assuming I didn't have a watch on or anything like that. But after a while, I saw police cars were coming, and my family from cousins, and aunts and uncles, my dad, everybody was coming around and calling my name. Y'all, this was for real. And if you are not believing what I'm telling you, you can probably pull it up in the Joplin Globe and see this story of girl found hiding under the house. That was me. That was me. Who later became mayor of her city. Oh, yeah, it's a whole trajectory of stories here. But found hiding under her house because I eventually did get found, and it was an occasion, it was an experience, it was a moment. And that moment came from when a cousin of mine, for some reason, whatever reason, decided to have his flashlight under the house. I don't recall anybody else looking under the house, but for whatever reason this cousin did, and he shined it and it caught the glow of my eyes, I believe. That's the only thing I can know that he would have found me. And he said, I found her, I found her. Part of me was excited and happy to be found because I was hungry. I had used the restroom and it was no fun. And it was starting to get a little chilly. So it was not really fun hiding out that long of a time. And that correlates to hiding from our punishment, running away from our punishment, or running away from responsibility and accountability can sometimes be painful, can sometimes be lonely, it can sometimes be distant. It can leave you feeling alone and distant. So when I came out from under the house, the first person I encountered was my mother. And you would think that I had went off to China somewhere or to some distant country and I just got returned to her. That is the love that I felt in that moment as she was hugging me so tight. It was just, I don't know, I was that little girl and I just melted in my mom's arms. But I'm going to tell y'all one thing my mom said to me, only that I could hear, because she was hugging me tight and it was genuine. But she whispered in my ear, If you ever do that again, if you ever, she didn't even have to say the rest because I already knew. I already knew what if you ever, I knew the ending to that story. And yeah, hiding under the house to escape punishment. How often do we hide in real life to escape punishment? How often do we take a hidden path or hide from accountability or hide from responsibility just so we don't have to face whatever may be coming? Those consequences that usually we bring about because of an action we took, but we don't want to face it because it may cause us some temporary pain or cause us some temporary discomfort. Yeah, we have to think about that the next time we decide to run away from responsibility or accountability. Maybe you didn't do something as drastic as running away, kind of sort of running away when you were younger. Maybe just lied for whatever reason because you didn't want to hurt somebody or you didn't want to face whatever punishment or consequence was going to follow your action. Drop whatever in the comments of a time when you ran from accountability or you hid from consequences. You hid from a punishment that you rightfully maybe deserved, but you thought lying or hiding or shrinking from the truth was better. And in reality, we find out that it is not. We find out that we have to step up and face that accountability. We have to step up and take responsibility. And and it may not always be comfortable. There's going to be times when you have to do some actions that are not going to please people, that you know is going to make them upset. And you would rather not have to do it. You would rather hide from that responsibility. But hiding is not going to bring you to the point where you need to be. Hiding is not going to change the situation. Hiding is not going to make it any easier. And in fact, it just may make it harder. So before you decide to run and hide from your accountability or your responsibility, and you are just running because you don't want to face the punishment or the consequences, think about it. Think about it and say, is it really worth me running from it? Because eventually you're going to have to face it. Whether sooner or later, you're going to have to face it. Thank you for joining Colbert Kean Conversations, and I'll see you on the next episode.